Pilly Willy, erection issues, Brewer's Droop. Running low after that.
So the first time I was able to ejaculate, I cried. It was overwhelming. Literally, your entire body is just covered in goosebumps. What is your reaction when this is spinning?
I have no idea what's under those cards.
That's green. Is it possible to have a wank if you can't get it up?
How are you feeling about answering these kind of questions on camera?
Family doesn't even know about it, so it's a bit weird to be telling the world. What is your reaction when this thing's spinning? Are you like nervous it's going to land on you?
No, I'm excited. Nothing's off limits.
No, I'm the opposite. Like, I don't want it to land on me. So this is a great outcome for me.
Okay, we're in.
Okay.
Here we go. Tables are turned.
How much of being a man is tied up with your penis working?
I think way more than it should be.
Growing up, you always saw, like, to be a man, you had to have been, obviously, the one earning the most, you had to be the strongest, you had to literally always, like they say, measuring dicks. Like, obviously, they say if you have the smaller penis, you're less of a man than somebody with a bigger penis. If you can't get an erection, it's just like you as a man have failed to do the one thing you're pretty much supposed to be doing.
Especially when you're in your, like, mid-20s.
Before then, I mean, you just wake up and you're pitching a tent or you're going out. Like, it was just constant all the time. As a gay man, I mean, without your penis, there's not much else you can really do. At its worst, my sexual function was extremely impacted. There was a 2-3 month period where I didn't even look at porn or even touch myself. It was actually just, what was the point if you know the outcome is going to be the same? The
first time after I wasn't able to get it up, it kind of threw my whole life into a spin. It wasn't just I was thinking about it all day, but I think of myself as like a fairly mentally robust young man, but this sent me kind of into probably slightly like a mental health spin. I've never had the experience of a woman laughing at me not being able to get it up in the bedroom, and I think the really strange thing is quite often they don't notice. When I was struggling to get it up, I found actually that I think a lot of people think it's sexual suicide to tell someone, but actually I think opening up before you have sex with someone that you might feel a little bit anxious about it is quite often the way to have the best sex. Are you feeling nervous about what's on the cards?
Extremely nervous. I've never spoken about this before.
Oh, we're going to call that orange.
No.
What's the most comedy situation you found yourself in, presumably to do with your erections?
Probably going to my doctor, my GP. It's a bit weird. I've been going to him since I was a little baby, and now to have your doctor literally feeling your groin area was fairly uncomfortable. He kept like calling me daddy the entire time. Well, because like the moms are mommies, the guys are daddies, and so it's like God just grabbing you and being like daddy, and I'm like, this is a bit uncomfortable. And usually maybe that would have turned me on, but in this case obviously it didn't. Obviously now when I look back on it and I tell the story, everyone finds that to be like the weirdest moment of my entire experience.
What's the most awkward conversation you've had about erection issue?
Other than this one.
When I first told my boyfriend that I'd struggled, I kind of expected shock from him, but he was actually very patient. He wanted me to explain exactly what I was experiencing, why I was experiencing it. It made me feel relieved that I had somebody to talk to and somebody who didn't understand, but was willing to understand and willing to listen and help me through it.
Ooh.
What's the worst response you've had from a partner?
To be honest, the responses have always been from me. Any response that I have had has always eclipsed any that my partner's had. The first couple of times it happened, for me, that was like sex over. When it first ever happened to me, I was like 27. If you can't get hard, you can't have sex is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. They actually harden and soften naturally the whole way through sex anyway. And quite frankly, most partners I've been with is not the thing that gets them off. So I'd often be on dates and a little bit drunk at the end of the night, and when it hasn't worked, like...
Just blame on the drinks.
Not even blame on the drinks, I was just like so distraught with myself and so angry with my penis that it would be like nothing else could be fun that evening, no matter what we decided to do. So you like roll over and like just like that was the end of the evening. My experience was the opposite, and it actually made the problem worse for me. I suffered in silence for about 10-11 months, and then I felt the need to come out and tell somebody. It just felt lonely, not having anyone to talk to, anyone to turn to, and because of that, you just actually retreat more into your shell, so losing your confidence and then not being able to talk to anyone about it, you just start to isolate yourself from everyone around you. So I think the worst experience I had with a partner was actually
One of the guys, so I probably went on a date with him, was slightly a bit tipsy, and I was like, I'm going to try this is going to work. He was very good looking. Went to his place, and obviously I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, and he actually got a bit physical with me, started swearing at me, and just saying I was wasting his fucking time. And when I was like trying to move and trying to get out, he then started throwing stuff at me as well. So like he threw his remote at me, and I was like, I need to leave, I don't feel comfortable here. But even though he was telling me leave, he was still like forcing me to stay by like pushing me against the wall, and eventually I managed to just like leave. I broke down in my car. I was like, I need to just stop. This is not how I want to be treated at all. I felt overwhelmed, and I think that fed into the anxiety, and it actually made me then perform even worse. You get into your head and just, didn't work for me then.
I hope you stole his TV remote.
It's broken, so yeah, that's arsehole. Yeah. Now we just wait. That's green. Is it possible to have a wank if you can't get it up?
Yeah, I think hard-ons and sexual well-being is the next frontier that men need to start opening up about. I guess we could get kind of all philosophical here, like what is a wank? Does it mean that you have to ejaculate to have a wank, or is a wank just pleasuring yourself? I'm going to go with, yeah, you can. I don't think you need to be hard to be able to pleasure yourself, and I actually don't even think you need to really touch your genitals to have a wank. Soft penis pleasuring, which is exactly what it says on the tin, which is you'll spend 10 minutes kind of building a relationship with your penis. But what that's doing is making you more comfortable in a moment when you're not hard straight away.
You definitely don't have to like be touching yourself or come to have a wank. Going like an entire year, I actually started to think, would I even be able to like come again? Pretty much the tubes had frozen solid come. That's what I was thinking in my head. And for me, when I was like touching myself, because obviously that's part of the process, was like touch yourself, hopefully then something you'll get hard. So from March to like pretty much Feb of the following year, so almost a year, I didn't come at all. What did that feel like? You always hear of guys complaining about having blue balls the next day, never mind like 12 months later. The first time it happened, again, after like a year, it felt like my first time when I was like a teenager, and after it was that same intense feeling again. I cried. It was overwhelming to realize that something that I thought I couldn't do for like an entire year, I figured that was just something I'd never be able to do again. Feeling that pleasure for the first time in like an entire year, literally your entire body is just covered in goosebumps. It's just overwhelmed me, and I don't know how to express it, and just felt like relief, like everything was just rushing out. Yeah. I mean, for me, that was like the best sex I've ever had. And did you feel like you were in that sexual moment, or were you constantly thinking like, oh my God, I've got an erection and this is working? Both. So how did that moment feel? Can you remember that like second as it all happened for the first time after 12 months? Yeah, because I think I had a smile on my face the entire time. It was amazing. Telling other people about my story and my experiences is nerve-wracking, but I think it's also good. Just allowing people to realize that they can talk about it, and hopefully not have to go through what I went through, where you just sit in silence, reading off of Google and hoping to find a solution. The one piece of advice that people going through this right now need to know is that their best sex is still ahead of them, and this actually could be the best thing that's ever happened to you. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It happens to a lot of us, and most of the time you just overbuilding it up in your head. I felt deep shame until I spoke to my partner about suffering to get it up. By being open with him and talking to him about it, it made us more intimate. Sex is more than just sex. There's something else there. It's more emotional.